Good day to you. In this video, we are going to look at how do you set up a new church to start using the ACMS Treasury module. So that's what we're going to look at, and we'll go into it straight away. So you need, first of all, to be at the conference level. This process can only be done if you are a ACMS implementer at the conference level. So your role has to be the ACMS implementer for you to be able to do this process. So you come to church and you come and look for configure treasury module. When you click on that, you will have an option to search for currently implemented churches or those that were in the process and not completed. And you can come here and click on all. I normally advise people to use all to search so that you can see a list of all of the churches that are currently in implementation or already implemented. So in this case, we have these churches that have been done. There are 6 of them that are already implemented. And as you can see, some are monthly cycled churches and some are weekly cycled churches, remittance wise. I will show you all of this in the process, and then you can also see that they are active as well. If it says no here, you'll find that you cannot use the treasury module because the implementation process was not complete. So let's come and click on new, and you come over here and you look, you do a search for a church that is in your conference. I'll pick any one of these. Let's say this is church number 50. If you don't find it here, if you are searching for it and you can't find it, it's either it is already implemented or it was partially implemented and you need to complete the process. I'll also show you how that works as well. So the first place is where you look for the church, and then the next place you come is to tell us which period do you want to start the implementation process. So this is the first month that you're going to be receipting into or using the system in. So it is advisable that the last month, the last day of the month that you are preceding the month that you're selecting here is the one that you go in and we put in our balances. So let's say, for instance, we want to implement this church in May. That means the April balances, at the end of April, we need to have balances captured as at the end of April. And this is very important for you to do because the system will start carrying forward those balances and adding any amounts of income that you start posting in May, or reducing any of the expenses that you also record in May in this example. So this is why this period is important for you to understand. You want to pick the period where you want to start the treasury module, but you need to go to the previous month and give the system the opening balances that will be used by the system as we go forward. And then the type, we have 2 types of remittance cycles in the system. We have the monthly cycle, which comprises of 4 weeks. That means that the treasurer at the local church, or if it's a offline church, which I also explained just now, you have 4 weeks to work with the system before you are required to calculate remittance. In this case, we are going to go with weekly so that you quickly understand the difference. The weekly one means that from Sabbath until Sunday, you are able to do your transactions, and you need then to calculate remittance on the Sunday, and on Monday morning, the system will tell you exactly how much you need to go and deposit at the bank on Monday morning. So this is the difference between the weekly and the monthly remittance cycle. And then we have 2 modes for the treasury module. We have an offline mode and an online system mode. The online system is where we have a local treasurer who is going to be logging in from the local church and doing the actual capturing of income and expenses for that local church. So this is important for you to understand. The offline one would be where the conference or a district or a pastor or somebody else is actually doing the receipting on behalf of the church. So the church treasurer is not actually the one who is doing the receipting. So this normally works very well in situations where we have remote churches that have difficulties either accessing the internet, or they don't have the equipment, or they don't have the people who are treasurers and they continue doing their manual receipting as they have usually done, or any other system, and then they forward those books or that info, those transactions, to the conference for processing. So that is what the offline system entails. So in this case, we are going to choose online, and then the banking delay days are days which are allowed as official delays between the date, the calculating of the remittance until the money is banked. So, for instance, if you calculate your remittance on Sunday, you would have about 5 days to do that banking. And if you delay, the system will start flagging to say you are delaying, and it will then alert the conference to say this particular church has a habit of delaying to do their trust funds payments, and that could be a sign of something not working well. Either the treasurer is very busy, or it's a sign that they might need an assistant. We have also advised that for every 50 members in a church, there should be at least one extra treasury assistant, so that the workload is reduced and it doesn't pile up on one particular individual. And then on the currency mode, you will select, in this case, we'll say official currency. That would be the currency that is used in that particular country. But there are some countries that have multi-currencies, and you can come and select multi-currency here, and then select the currencies that you are going to select for use in the system. So we will go with official currency in this example. And then the payment, the system allows you to integrate ACMS with banks, so that if we get to that level, a treasurer is able to just click on calculate remittance, and the system will initiate a bank transfer on their behalf from the church's local bank account and make that payment of those trust funds to the conference without the treasurer having to do any extra step. So these options are there for that kind of integration. But in this case, as we'll start with the manual option. There's a legal number that will be needed by the bank to be able to facilitate the automation in the system. We also will recommend that the name of the treasurer, especially if there is more than one of the treasurer that did the receipting, should appear on the receipt, so that if members have some follow-ups and some checking that they need to do on a particular receipt, they know who to address those to. So this will really go a long way in ensuring that that happens. The other important one is this one here. We would suggest that it is good for the local treasurer to be able to record the trust funds that they have processed from their local church, so that the conference people are able to see these transactions, these remittance payments. So it is ideal for this to happen. Then after these are completed, you click on next, and at this point now you are going to start creating your projects or your church departments. So this is very critical for you to be able to do, so that you are able now to get your income and expense reports from the system, and you are able to manage your projects with basically knowing how much is in each project. This is very important for us to mention that for every report that will require an income or an expense statement, it is advisable to come in here and edit as part of the departments that are created here. This will go a long way in ensuring that the treasurer reduces their workload, because when they receipt later on, they'll be able to basically post those transactions into the particular project or into the particular department, and expenses as well. They'll be able to post those into the expense. Those expenses into the department as well, so that when these two are together, as you can already see, if you have an income and an expense section in the same statement, you are going to have a balance that shows you how much money is in that project or in that department. So this is a very simple process. You click on add department as well. And the first department we always recommend you put in is Treasury, and put in Treasury there. And then if you have a goal, this is another place that normally confuses a lot of our treasurers. There are goal amounts that you might want for a particular reason. For instance, a good example I normally use, the Adventist Women's Ministries want to go to the GC session, and the church business meeting has voted to fund the travel for the Adventist Women's Ministries, and they say, okay, for people to be able to travel to the GC, we will need 1 million to be able to get that done. Let's put 1 million there. So what will happen is the system, out of the portion of offerings that stays at the church, which is normally the 50%, it will suspend distributing those offerings to any other department until this department is fully funded up to the amount of 1 million. So that is what this is about. It is not a budget, it's a target, it's a goal that is set for a particular purpose. And once that goal is been reached, then the offerings can either go into the treasury or any other department that is specified. So you need to put priorities here so that if you do more than one department, the system will know which one is the priority goal department to fund until they hit their goal, and then they go on. So in this example, I'm going to just leave this as 0, put this to 0 as well, and then the allocation. It's important for you to fully understand this part. If you are using percentages in your church, the church is able to allocate the 50% of offerings that remains at their church. They're able to allocate, split or spread that 50% according to the percentages that you specify here. So in this example, I'll just say 10% of our offerings will be sent into the treasury department. And then on the opening balance, let's say you had an opening balance of 10 million is a bit much. Let's put it at 100,000. Okay, I'll just come and type here again. Let me just sort this out. I'll hide this so that we don't keep seeing it. All right, thank you. All right, so we come over here. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So there we go. So what we'll do here, the opening balance in this case, let's say it was 50,000, and then, as you can see, the budget total is 10%, which is okay. And what else is missing here? Yeah, that's okay. Allocation is 10%, 50,000. We should be able to click on save. Why is it not? Let's see. Okay, I'll redo this. Let me just close this and start again. I'll come and click over here. Department is Treasury, and that's the name. And the allocation for this department is 10% of our local offerings, and the opening balance will be 100,000. Okay, here we go. And then I click on save. So the system now has saved this department, and as you can see, 10% of our offerings will be allocated to this department. I'll go on and do a few more so that you appreciate the process. I'll just put community services there. I'll give it another 10%, and I'll give it another opening balance of 100,000 and click save. And then I'll go to the next one. Let's say we have Adventist Women's Ministries. We go here, Women's Ministries, we click over there. I'll give it maybe 20% since the ladies are very powerful. 1, 2, 3, and very active in evangelism. That's what the church has voted to allocate to them. And Pathfinders are normally very active as well. Come over here. Pathfinders need also 30% because they do a lot of outreach activities in this particular church. And they had 100,000 at the end of April. So here we go. And then, so we're left about 30%. And just for interest sake, I'll look for men's ministries. Okay, men's ministries are over here, and the allocation is going to be 30%, and the balance that they had is 100,000 as well. All right, something I should also mention here, once you get to 100%, the system will allow you to continue. And then, as you can see, the system suggests a name for you here. You can actually change this name and say maybe if it's AMO, some people call it AMO, Adventist Men Ministries, or Men's Organization, Adventist Men's Organization, you can come and say AMO there, and that's the name that the local members know and are familiar with. That's very important. If you have local language names for departments, you are also able to do put in the particular name so that as people use the system either on their mobile devices in 7Me app, or as the treasurer is receipting and as you draw reports, people can see names that are familiar to the local church. So come here and we click on save, and as you can see, we now have 500,000 and we have 100%. You need to select the main department. If you don't select the main department and you click on next, the system will tell you, please let us know who the main department is. And the treasury department, the first department, is the main department. So click on that and click on next. And at this point, we get to the interesting part now where we are telling the system the 500,000 that we just captured as the opening balances, where is this money? How is this money distributed? Is it in cash? Is it in the bank? As of the 30th of April, because we are opening this church in the period of May. So you'll see it highlighted here. The start period is May, and the balances we have just entered should be of the last day of the previous month. So in this case, I'm going to add a bank account. I'll come and I'll say I want to add a bank account. The system will let you pick bank accounts that you have in your local church. I'll say it's ABSA Bank. I can come here and say ABSA. And then the type of account is important so that if you have more than one bank account, we might be able to know whether it's an investment account or it's a building account. That's very critical for the treasurer of the local church to be able to follow this up. Once this is done, you click on save, and after you put in the account numbers, you'll be able to do that. If there's more than one bank account, which is normally also possible, you can come and click on bank here, tell us which bank is the other bank. It could be First National Bank. And then you come here, abbreviate where possible, FNB, and this time we'll say savings account or investment even. That's also another good one, investment account. So a church is able to have more than one type of account assigned. You come and put the branch code if you use branch code, and put digits there, and the account number. If these are known, you put them there. And then you click on save, and the system is now ready for you to capture where these monies are distributed. So you might say the investment account was holding, out of the 500,000, was holding 300,000, okay? And the system will tell you that now for you to proceed, you need to allocate 200,000. And then we'll say, okay, we had 200,000 that was in the current account. If you are owing, if you are owing trust funds, you would also need to come and specify them here. Let's say for this example, there was 50,000. I'll put, it needs to be negative, 50,000 that was owing at that point. Then the system is saying, no, if you're owing this, that means you should have it in your bank account. So we will come and adjust this to 250,000, and the system will go back to zero. And at this point, if I finish this process, you will see that on the front of the church, on the front page of the church, you'll see that there was 250 in the current account in ABSA, there was 300,000 in FNB, and the conference was owed 50,000 in their clearing account. So this amount will be posted in the clearing account of the conference, and that will go into, it will be part of the next calculation of remittances that this treasurer is going to do. So I'll click on finish, and now you will see that this church has been set up. And if I come and do a search here, you'll see that out of 6 records, it will now go to 7 records, because now church number 50, which we were just setting up, is ready to go. So I'll quickly now show you what it looks like in the front of this church. What I'll do is I'll just pick copy that so that we quickly move, and then I'll come and paste it over here. Church number 50, we click over there and we change to the local church. So as we go to the local church level now, you'll see that on the front page, we are able to see these balances that we just worked with. There was nothing that said cash, upside 250,000, the investment at 300,000, and we were owing, as we showed in our example, 50,000 for the trust fund. So when this church is now, when the treasurer does their first cycle of calculation of remittances, the system will remember that there's 50,000 owing, and it will become part of the next remittance to the conference from this church. Please have a wonderful day, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach us. Thank you.